Greetings, viewers, and welcome back. Red-Rupee here, calling the shots for you tonight, as always, for another great match of Dawn of War 2 the Elite mod. We've got two players, one-on-one on Green Tooth Gorge tonight. On the blue side, Triple Whipple Nipple Slipple. That's a bit much to say. We'll just call him Triple, playing the Lord Commissar as the Imperial Guard, trying to hold strong against the impending log of NootNoot as the commando knob for the orcs on the red. This could be yet another attempt of me trying to get back into the casting game and getting my channel, you know, off its butt a little bit. But hey, we've got Dawn of War 3 coming. I think we've even got Space Hulk coming later this week, so we've got to do something to get a little life back into this. So let's see if I can stick with it. I've got a schedule. I'm going to stick with it this time around. Let's keep it going. Two guardsmen, along with two shooter boy squads on the field, coming up with a sentinel, as well as everyone kind of just moves out onto the field, capturing those rear points. Commando knob running the rear guard there. Sluggers and shooters coming up the center. Looks like probably going to be pushing into the middle there with the Lord Commissar on the far west. Just looking at this matchup and looking at this map from the get-go, I think NootNoot's going to have a slight advantage, just having that commando knob running around, causing trouble, being able to utilize all the garrisons that are on this map in the early game at least. We've got the Sentinel moving in, trying to put a little pressure on those shooter boys. Meanwhile, a flank coming in from the far side. No real upgrades on the field yet. This is a very early engagement, so everyone's pretty much vanilla. Although, that being said, the Sentinel's still under a lot of fire right now. Taking some shots from all over the place. Lord Commissar flanking on the rear end there, while Sluggers are moving in pursuit of all these guardsmen, now leaving this Sentinel kind of stranded out there, while the Lord Commissar continues to rout orcs on the back line. One squad of shooter boys gets caught up, but he's unfortunately got his Sentinel right in the middle of all those guardsmen. He's taken a lot of fire. He needs to get the repair on, but he's not quite doing it. Now the Sentinel's stranded without any guardsmen, and these commando knobs out here. One more volley is probably all it's going to take. I don't know if they can out-repair the damage. It goes down. A very early loss there for Triple in the way of that Sentinel falling in the very first engagement here. The commando knob's DPS with that custom twin-link shooter there is really damaging. And I think, if I'm correct, it still does have 100% fire on the move, so you've got to be really careful when engaging that, because he's going to pursue and he's going to keep dealing that DPS, while that, as we saw, that Sentinel just wasn't able to take it. The guardsmen were kind of sitting around a lot without really doing any repairs, and we've got a heavy weapons squad on the field. During that engagement, a couple generators just finishing up there for the orcs. Two nodes up for the Imperial Guard. The victory point is more or less just stagnating, as no one was able to take that center point until just now. Lord Commissar still healthy and on the field, doing a good job of interrupting, using his energy shield to keep himself healthy. But now the orcs are out here. They've upgraded with their big shooters. They got flamers on their sluggers as well. Getting a quick special attack before falling back, realizing that was a lost cause. Still managing to get some victory points under his control for the time being, though, and managing to start picking off a few of those points and getting the orcs on the back foot a little bit as it stands right now. It looks like the guardsmen were considering hopping in that garrison. That would have, of course, been a terrible idea, considering those slugger boys are upgraded with flamers. Could have burned them right out of there. Those numerous model squads with low HP melt so fast to those alien buildings like that. That's one thing the guardsmen definitely have to keep in mind at all times. Commando knob sneakily decapping the center point there, while the slugger boys get routed by a volley of fire from all these many beam guns. They are just in mass already. Let's see, what do we have? 18 guardsmen out here facing off against the orc big shooters. Really, with both of these squads being so very ranged, or both of these armies rather, being so very ranged heavy, it's really going to come down to who utilizes the cover and this suppression cannon the most right now. We've got catachan devils coming onto the field, which will help identify the position of this sneaky commando knob, who's already looking for some trouble with this heavy weapons squad over here. Shooter boys hanging out in that garrison. Lord Commissar just trying to decap on the far side. Looks like the guardsman got stunned, however, with slugger boys coming in on the far side. That heavy weapons team didn't quite manage to get his fire on those melee units. I don't think he had to fully retreat there with the catachans on the way in, but perhaps that was just the safer choice, considering those Slugger boys were moving on in. Oh man, did a lot of damage to his own squad there. Didn't quite place that old reliable very well. A little danger close there from the Catachan Devils. Not very reliable at all if you ask me, but hey, maybe that's just the squad and not the weapon itself. Shooter boys getting the decap. Orcs looking pretty okay, except for the fact that their backline requisition is getting completely decapped. Full gen farms up now for both sides as those last couple generators finish up for the Imperial Guard. They lost their node but built it right back up. The catachans are there to defend it.
So the generator is.
But even with these catachans here, they're going to have to be very careful. Tripple's going to have to use those really tactfully if he wants to keep them up against this barrage of orc gunfire. He's got 2 shooters and the commando now himself, and they outrange those catachans pretty heavily. 2 squads now of guardsmen now exchanging fire anyways with these shooter boys. Triple cap for the orcs though, 445 to 461, and orcs now moving in on the natural gen farm of Triple and his Imperial Guardsmen forces. Catachans moving in on the flank, but I don't think that one squad's going to quite be enough. They're at least going to lose 1 generator here, I'm sure. And as it stands, I think the Lord Commissar should probably get on one of those victory points instead of worrying about that power node, but even so, he does have all 3 of the backline requisitions decapped, so you can see it's about an 80 requisition per minute deficit right now that orc is against this Imperial Guard player, despite having 1 less squad on the field. Both players look like they're going to hit tier 2 about the same time. The Imperial Guard player actually could have hit the button a few seconds ago, so if he doesn't hit that now, he's going to lose the tech advantage he does have, considering how little power he spent. Well, I guess I spoke too soon. It's not that little. He got 2 kind of tier 1.5 squads, but he's not upgraded his squads any or purchased any upgrade for that Commissar. Speaking of the Commissar, I was about to say, it was looking pretty dicey for him right there, but I guess the Catachans were in route to support, so it wasn't really that big a deal. Anyways, Guardsmen now getting the decap on the central point, about 130 points behind now going into the tier 2 phase of the game, with the orcs not far behind. Oh, we're getting the Demolition Man on those catachans as well. I love seeing well-placed explosives on this map between demolition bombs and of course the mines that the Commissar can put down himself. Heck, we could even see some explosive devices from the Commando now if he so chooses. Actually, probably wouldn't be a terrible idea against these Imperial Guardsmen. Those guys can take some pretty heavy damage from those booby traps that the Commando Knob lays down. But so far, both heroes are vanilla, and heading into Tier 2, both players are sitting on a pretty reasonable pile of resources and between requisition and full generators. Hasn't really been any invading on either side too much. The orc tried to get that Gen Bash earlier we saw, but it didn't quite work out for him. Commando now just kind of stalling on this side of the map and taking a lot of fire, ultimately getting routed and having to fall back from that right there. I'm not really sure what I'd expect to see at this point. I feel like a Chimera would be a great option considering all the infantry that are on the field already, with 4 infantry squads out here. It forces the orcs into getting, I guess you almost don't want to force the orcs into getting AD though, because you're probably going for those tanks later on, so maybe he'll do something like Ogren's instead. I'm not sure. We'll see. He hasn't purchased anything quite yet. Got a couple upgrades somewhere along the line. He's getting those, getting that Commissar. Oh man, but the orcs got a Deffdredz en route before much longer. This heavy weapons team, I don't think it's getting out of here. The catachans move in, but the squad's not retreating, takes too much range fire, and perishes under a hail of orc gunfire. The sluggers didn't even have to get in there and chop anyone up. I'm not sure which is the worst death there. I think I'd take death by shooter over death by chopper myself. But now with this walker on the field, oh, Ogren's coming out, so it was Ogren's over the Chimera. I wasn't sure what he was going to go for here. So Ogren's along with the Lord Commissar, probably a pretty solid choice. The only real melee threat on the field is these Slugger boys. Upgraded with their knobs, they can be pretty beefy, but against a Commissar and knobs, it's not quite going to be enough on its own. Looks like Shooter's taking some heat from the Lord Commissar, but those Slugger boys were completely unimpeded while approaching that Guardsman squad, and with the Wog along with that Burners right there, we actually saw how much damage went down on those 2 Guardsmen. Ogrins out here shortly. Commissar falling back from that big, mean Deffdredz robot. Oh, it's so awkward. I love it. And I don't think this was intentional. I think these sluggers were meant to go down here, but I accidentally hopped inside of that garrison right there. But as it stands, they're still going to tag themselves a quick generator bash, maybe get a nice little kill there and retreat on home. Although, ultimately, for either side, both sides have been playing it very safe, I feel like, with the exception of that lost heavy weapons team. But both players sitting on tons of records. Stormtrooper squad coming out here. I'm assuming we're going to see that equipped with the anti-vehicle Melta kit, along with that Melta bomb to slow down this Deffdredz and maybe open up an opportunity for these Ogrins to get themselves a kill. Being pretty reserved again with these Ogrins, I guess there wasn't really anything out here to support them, so between the Deffdredz and those two Shooter Boy squads, it was pretty dicey if they wanted to stick around. Oh, Reliable going down, but a big whiff once again from that Oh, Reliable, but this forward Shooter Boy squad under a lot of duress with the Lord Commissar. Now the second squad going to have to do the same. It would be really a huge boon to have that heavy weapons squad still on the field right now to help deal with this Deffdredz. But unfortunately, Triple really needs to kind of invest both the Stormtroopers and the Ogrins in taking this thing out, or at least trying to rout it. Painboy on the field now for the Orcs on top of everything else. So now from 1 to 3 melee threats on the field, those Ogrins suddenly not looking as intimidating as we once thought. Painboy already getting upgraded with the stronger Git Sauce, and between the two melee squads, routing once again all of those guardsmen. Of course, the Commissars being on the field managed to cancel that. This Painboy's actually in a lot of trouble. He gets knocked down just before he hits the retreat by that Bonehead Rush. The Ogrins are still knocking everything over. He actually got chain knocked back there, and unfortunately goes down almost immediately after being purchased and upgraded. These sluggers in a lot of trouble too. Are they going to go down? I think they might be safe. The Ogrins do yield the chase and allow that squad to retreat with this lone slugger knob to pick up another wave of boys over there. Deffdredz now getting stunned and actually out here a bit overextended, I think. One of these guardsmen squads should be doing the capping because these Ogrins need to get in there on that Deffdredz and cause a bit more trouble. Catachans falling back and Ogrins now unrelenting on this Deffdredz. Let's see, where's those Meltas? I guess they had to fall back, but now the Deffdredz rampaging on out of there. The Ogrins are pursuing. There's only 250 HP left, while the Commissar and that Commando Knob are battling over the westernmost point. Ogrins don't care about the approaching Orcs, toss them aside like ragdolls, and move in on this Deffdredz now at 86 HP, now down to 49, but the Ogrins yield at the last possible moment, losing 2 members and falling back as that Deffdredz narrowly escapes death, and the Orcs head on into Tier 3. Commando Knob over here just taunting away. Oh, and it looks like we got that typical mine drop going right on the retreat path of those Orcs, so something the Orcs are going to have to keep in mind. There are plenty of spotters, though. I think they should go over there. If he saw that overhead flight, should know that there are some mines down somewhere and try to sweep those out if he has the opportunity, because those mines could very well kill a squad on retreat if the Orcs aren't careful. Of course, these Shooter Boys won't hit it, but the Sluggers could be in a lot of trouble, or a retreating Deffdredz or other vehicles for that matter. Lord Commissar had to fall back while dancing back and forth with the Commando Knob in that garrison. But the Imperial Guard have managed to close the gap to a mere 50 victory points now, and closing still, as I say that, of course, the victory points neutralize. And Commandos are coming onto the field as the first Tier 3 purchase for the Orcs. Triple's not far behind NootNoot, however, heading into Tier 3 himself. Not a lot of power at this point, though. Already, with Commandos coming on the field, not long behind that, I'm sure we'll see some Knobs or a Looted Tank. There's plenty of resources in that Orc reserve there. And we have a bit, a quick little respite here between all the shooting. We saw to that, though. A full volley of Imperial Guard fire forces those one squad of Shooter Boys off the field. Another squad on the far side there, trying to do a little bit of something. Stormtroopers Just hammering away a little power there while the Imperial Guard move in on the eastern side of the map, getting pretty aggressively into Orc territory right now. But then falling back. I'm not sure what his plan is here entirely. Let's see, he's got catachans over here, but the Ogrins are too far away to support. I would have expected to see Triple Daka now coming down, knocking the catachans off the point. Shotguns go down, Ogrins moving in, getting intercepted by that Deffdredz as shots are exchanged all over the place. Those flamers from that Deffdredz just such big damage right there. And now the Ogrins in a lot of trouble themselves. Or maybe I spoke too soon. I thought that those Ogrins might have been taking some heat from the Sluggas and Deffdredz, but as it stands right now, they aren't overly concerned. Getting pretty low fighting that thing one-on-one though. Ogrins realizing they can't stick around, but will the Neltas get that last volley? And I don't think it's quite gonna happen. Deffdredz manages to pick off one kill, but they're turning to open fire and finish it off. It's falling back. Oh no, I see right where it's going. It's gonna walk right on top of the mines and take itself out. Down the walker goes. That robot lives such a full life, but unfortunately, that Deffdredz had to go down. He knew those mines were there. He'd spotted them at least a couple times running around. He should have just known to move. I think he could have dodged them if he just went to the right a little bit there, but VPs are evening up. I'd venture to say that perhaps the Imperial Guard are starting to pull ahead here just a bit. With that Deffdredz going down, there are knobs on the field, however, at this stage in the game, and not a lot that can deal with them directly. Let's see, Lord Commissar. Oh, now with the Emperor's Wrath as well, it's tier 3. Haven't seen a tier 3 squad purchase, but we do have that big nasty war gear on the Commissar. What does that Commando Knob look like? Commando Knob still vanilla. Nice Emperor's Wrath going down there just a moment too late to eliminate that Commando Knob squad. And now Shooter Boy's just trying to buy some time, I guess? Oh, they're trying to pull that Commissar into the Slugger Boys, but there's a lot of ranged firepower coming here in return. Slugger's trying to get in there. Those Flamers putting down a lot of damage and allowing them to get those kills and force off these Guardsmen. Those burners, man, a lot of people discount the actual damage they do against things like Guardsmen. Especially at level 3 now, almost level 4. I'm sure we'll see them hit level 4 before much longer here. Ogrins trying to finish off a squad of Shooter Boys, but getting suppressed at the last possible moment with 4 HP remaining. Knobs are enough to scare off the Ogrins as this Orc log moves forward onto the westernmost victory point. We can see Triple's doing a good job of keeping those victory points under control for the time being, but now with the Knobs and Berna's on his own gen farm once again, it doesn't look like he has a lot out here moving in. I'm surprised he didn't lose that one generator, but as it stands, the Commissar recognizes he can't really approach the Knobs. The Sluggas he can deal with. The Knobs are a bit too beefy for just a lone Commissar. Commando Knob gets thrown out of position by those Catachan Devils. And now we've got the full contingent of Guardsmen opening fire once again, but those are just pea shooters to Knobs. A couple volleys, and those Knobs are still sitting pretty at over 2,000 hit points. Lord Commissar now with the Carapace armor as well, and a Lemon Rust tank coming onto the field shortly. Flare goes down, trying to open an opportunity for these Guardsmen to get off some unopposed damage on those Shooter Boys.
So we're losing a victory point out there.
Nice use of that ability. Just that ability is infuriating enough on its own sometimes to force your opponent off of a point, and as we just saw right there, all he had to do was spend a little bit of red. His squads are still healthy and ready for combat. All Reliable going off. Man, that All Reliable has missed, I think, more this game than I've ever seen. I don't know if that's the fault of the terrain, the catachans, or the player himself. Emperor's Wrath going down right on top of all these Shooter Boys. A beautiful shot, knocking them out of cover, getting a bunch of kills as well. And it looks like this is going to be a win for the flanking Imperial Guard forces. Has to be a little careful, considering that there could be Knobs on the field, but I think he's been tracking those fairly well. Looted Tank now moving onto the field. Tanks for both sides now as the Ogrins take that central victory point. Oh man! That first shot from that Looted Tank just obliterated about 4 Catachan members.
Order, sir. Go ahead,
that may have been a slight exaggeration. It was only 3 and maybe a Guardsman. But they're laying in a pile right
Strategic
there,
point spotted
unfortunately.
here.
Maybe they should wear some armor and they wouldn't die so easy. They're running around the battlefield with a vest on. Those abs aren't that strong. I don't care if they're made of steel, man. 265 to 290 as we go into the final stages of this game. The Vanquisher Cannon getting upgraded on that Lehman Russ. He wants to take out that looted tank more than anything. That's the only real threat, I think. He's probably got enough now to deal with those knobs. We saw that commando knob get that rocket launcher, I think, before he even spotted that looted tank, which is a good call on his part. He probably recognized what was going on. Melta going down on the rear armor of this tank, though. And now, oh my gosh, that Lord Commissar succinctly getting destroyed there by the knobs and that looted tank. Another volley going down. Will the looted tank escape? It looks like it just might. These guys want the kill so bad, but I don't know if they're going to get it. Knobs chasing down these stormtroopers. The tank now at 10 HP obliterates all 3 squad members, but will those mines activate in time? Just a split second too late to take out that squad. Oh no, the Ogres went down completely. I don't think he was paying attention to his Ogrins at all while he was chasing down that looted tank and dropping mines. Ogrins destroyed, now down to just 3 squads of infantry and a Lehman Russ. That tank, of course, is no joke on its own. It can put a big dent in an Orc army. But that being said, there's a commando knob out here with the rocket launcher, and an opposing looted tank, of course, it does need to get fixed up before it sees any more field duty.
Understood.
But with that Vanquisher Cannon, it actually does pretty solid damage against these knobs at a very long range. 265 to 240. Oh no! What was that? The old Reliable again knocking its own troops into peril as the commandos and the knobs try to finish off a few more fleeing guardsmen. This has been... I think these Catachan Devils are double agents at this point. All they've been doing with those grenade launchers is causing trouble. I think the Orcs are starting to call that squad unreliable at this point. A shell going right into that commando knob. He's better for it. He's fine. He's doing okay. One tank shell isn't enough to rout a big Orc like that. He's a knob, for God's sakes. Triples now moving back in with that Commissar back on the field. Shooter boys now getting a decap over here. The Orcs finally starting to hold some ground again, though, and pull back their advantage. That Vanquisher Cannon pierces some serious armor, but it doesn't do the spread like you'd expect from a normal tank cannon, or maybe the Executioner, of course. Let's see what's going on. Orcs! Oh, nope, they're not going to stick around for that Commissar at all. Not interested. I thought I was hearing all kinds of explosions, but oh my gosh! More grenades going down. The Catachans finally get a hit to connect, but I guess we're just using that to get some damage down. It's really more for an interruption, especially at the late stages of the game. Look at the damage getting knocked down. Triple DACA going down on top of some Orc rocks. Unfortunately, rocks can't manage to hit all of these guardsmen. Guardsmen notoriously difficult to take down with rocks because there's just so daggone many of them. There's a couple of Catachans way deep into enemy territory. That might be the Sarge, though, so he has to get it out of there, because that will be the last model standing, despite all those other Catachans being far away from the action. Knobs trying to get that Lemon Rust tank. It doesn't matter, though. I don't really think he's too close to his home base. He will get suppressed by those base turrets. I may have spoken too soon, though. They only need one more swing. That Lemon Rust tank needs to keep backing up, but it escaped. That's the 3rd time we've seen a vehicle escape with almost no HP from a would-be demise. Trying to connect, that was a good shot, knocking those commandos forward. Didn't connect with the knobs quite right, but now 160 to 240. Imperial Guard in a lot of trouble with no requisition on the back line and only a single point. Let's take a look at the map here. 278 to 228, despite having a much smaller force on the field at this stage. Let's see what the army count is. 57 to 89, and it's still that close on requisition income. That goes to show how important those points are at this late stage in the game. Triple could have probably had another squad on the field by now if he just managed to keep his own requisition under control. That said, he's about 100 points behind, and while that might not sound that much at this stage in the game when you're about to go into the double digits, that's a huge problem right now. 240 to 134. The Orcs don't have to start holding ground for long. They can start whittling down those depleting VP reserves. Boomshot coming down from that tank. Guardsman recognized the threat, managed to pull off there before taking too much damage from that. Vanquisher Cannon now starting to put some shots out. Needs to focus that looter tank, though. That is the threat. There aren't many other anti-vehicle options now that both the Ogrins and that squad of anti-armor kit stormtroopers were eliminated off the field. Man, look how low these guardsmen are. This is playing very dangerously. Kasserkin's coming onto the field. I don't know if I agree with that. Wow, look at that tank just blasting away. One more shot. Will it get one more shot off? I don't think it will. It does not. But, oh man, this looter tank now in dire straits as the... Oh man, the power fist along with that Vanquisher Cannon made short work of that looter tank, and it's just slowly going to crash into some rocks here. That was the slowest out-of-control tank I think I've seen. Knobs now putting some more pressure on the VPs, though. The guardsmen just don't have the manpower to hang out on the map anymore. Where are those knobs? The knobs coming down, they don't care about Emperor's Wrath. Emperor's Wrath can rout these higher model squads, but against those beefy knobs, they're just gonna keep capping. They're not concerned with it. The score's now 87 to 240. The Orcs are just gonna relentlessly cap points and force these guys off the field. That energy shield was obliterated in a couple swings of a knob hammer. Kasserkin's doing their best to maybe slow these guys down, but it's not gonna be enough. 68 to 240 with all these points sitting in Orc's hands. I don't know what Triple's going to do to get back into this. NootNoot's been doing a great job now in these last couple of moments to really put pressure on the victory points, recognizing that victory is at hand. Guardsman infantry now causing a lot of trouble on their own, forcing off the catachans devils. Now with just these few squads of infantry out here, I don't think it's going to be enough to stop the Orcs. With the last few points falling back, I don't see them slowing this down at all. They did manage to neutralize the point, but they're still not sticking it out here. The Lemon Russ, unfortunately, now with that tank gone, can really put a lot of pressure on all this infantry, and mines are just falling left and right. It doesn't ultimately matter, though, because there's so many squads that can spot for the Orcs now. Between the two Shooter Boy squads and those commandos, all of them can spot those mines, and even so, everything's starting to get such high level that the mine damage isn't really that relevant. Those mines are more for disruption and kind of putting pressure on vehicles than actually doing any real trouble. Let's see, Commissar's not going to escape. He goes down. Commando now was trying to get a little tricky, but got caught out of position by those catachans devils. Even so, the Orcs once again have control of the central point. Knobs now moving in over here, along with the Slugger Boys. This Layman Russ tank needs to be very careful with all this approaching heavy melee power. Guardsman infantry moving in once again. What he needs to do is rout these Shooter Boys. If the Shooter Boys aren't there, all these mines will not be seen, and that will disrupt the approaching knobs almost indefinitely with that number of mines. You always have to be very careful sitting vehicles on your own mines, though. Those mines do splash friendly fire if they get eliminated. Good grenade going down, disrupting the approaching knobs. They have Shooting Greener activated, but they decide to fall back anyways with the last few victory points ticking away. Only 3 remain as the victory point goes neutral for potentially the last time this game, because he needs to hold that point. If this point goes red at any stage of the game, it's going to be all she wrote. Orc knob goes down. 240 remaining with commandos sneaking along the back line. Let's see if the Commissar manages to spot those guys. It's looking pretty rough for Triple, considering that there's about to be an Orc battle wagon coming onto the field. Heavy weapons squad coming out here too. That could be exactly what he needs to hold the central spot. Guardsman infantry now getting upgraded finally with plasma guns to start helping deal with those knobs a little better. Lord Commissar, let's see, is he actually paying attention here? He does activate the Emperor's Wrath. And those commandos get knocked into that power fist. But the orcs are routing all the forces on the right side. I think he needs to fall back and actually just try to hold this point. Maybe use his mines, use everything he has at his disposal to try to hold on right now. Nob's now moving in. I don't know what he's going to do right here. I don't think he can hold this, and if he doesn't, that's going to be the game. Nob's getting disrupted by those mines, buying a little bit of time. Sluggers get routed, but the Shooter Boy's now moving in, and the Commando Nob looking like he wants to get that point. The Nobs are just pushing forward, trying to disrupt and buy any bit of time they can, because all they need to do is hold for about 10 more seconds on this point. That's going to be it. It looks like the catachans have fought their damnedest, but they finally go down.
Top priority.
Oh no, that wasn't the catachans, that was the Kasserkins. I misspoke. But either way, that's going to be the game as the Shooter Boys manage to get the cap on that last point. The guards are going to fight till the end, though, as they're so known for. Nob's going to get themselves potentially a catachan squad kill as well, but oh, the game ends just before they manage to land the final blow on this lone Sarge. I know those guys are tough, but I think this hammer's about the same size as that whole human right there. I don't think it ends well. Luckily, we don't have to see the gruesome end for that poor catachan member. Great game from both players there. Unfortunately, the Triple just managed to hold out not long enough in those final stages. He just wasn't able to hold the field. He kept dropping all these mines. I feel like there had to have been something better he could have done, maybe. I feel like even maybe just using flare to stop some of that ranged fire during some of those engagements could have been more advantageous than just dropping these mines, which ultimately I think did nothing because there were so many spotters. I mean, we can see how few of these mines actually went down there. We did see an excellent kill there from the mines on that retreating Deffdredz, and oh, the battle wagon would have come onto the field shortly anyways. I don't think there would have been much to be said about that. There was this Lehman Russ tank out here. I guess that combined with maybe a lasgun if he so chose, but this heavy weapons squad was kind of restricted to watching this westernmost point with only 3 points remaining. I think the battle wagon would have spelled certain doom had Triple managed to hold on during this final engagement here anyways. I think he could have played that final one a little better and maybe gotten those Nobs out of there without losing both of these squads, but whew. That was quite a game. That's a good way to get back into the swing of things, don't we? I think so anyways. We're going to have some more Dawn of War 2 coming later this week. I'm going to try to find a team game, I think. But maybe I'll do another one-on-one. I've gotten quite a few one-on-one submissions in recent days. But, oh, and I think, what, isn't Space Hulk Deathwing coming out later this week? Maybe I'll do a little of that. I don't know. We'll have to see what's going on. Sorry, Commissar. You are standing in a field full of dead orcs and dead guardsmen, but, you didn't quite manage to hold it out, but hey, at least you were the last one standing because that Commando Nob's on his back, and that's at least got to count for something as far as a moral victory. That's it for me, folks. This is Red-Rupee. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, stop by my channel here on YouTube or Twitch, do all the fun things, send me your